Hi guys, just a quick video. As you know, I've been highlighting the dishonesty of 20 zones in Scotland, 20 miles per hour zones in Scotland, and there's not really a lot to research about it. Really, I've got a fair bit of understanding of it, and so I have these. I keep pointing out, and I make a point of doing it on Facebook and on YouTube that these are not real speed limits, and so just if this is the first time you've ever watched my videos, we'll give you a sort of rundown of what happened in Scotland. Mark Ruskell proposed 20 miles per hour speed limit in all restricted areas, which would be, you know, urban areas, you know, where people live, or villages and towns and so forth. So the Road Traffic Regulation Act, I think that's what it's called, but it was 1967, so it made it illegal for anyone, unlawful to drive a motor vehicle over 30 miles per hour, and amended it in 1986, and it's the same, well, there's amendments to it, but it's still unlawful to drive a motor vehicle over 30 miles per hour. So in 2019, Mark Ruskell proposed a motion in the Scottish Parliament, we are talking about Scotland here, to implement widespread 20 zones in these areas. So that was a sort of, would have been a devolved thing, I suppose, because I'm not exactly sure. Like I say, I'm not a lawyer and I can't explain everything perfectly, but it would be something similar to what happened in Wales when they voted in the Senate for widespread 20 miles per hour limits. So it's actually a real speed limit in Wales. In London, it's different. In England, it seems to be I'm not exactly sure, but it seems to be more of a civil matter. So they'll come after you. A bit more draconian in England when it comes to things like that. They can come and get money off you or take your house away and stuff or whatever, things like that, right? But I'm not totally clued up in England how it works. Probably because I do go to England, but I'm not there that often. Scotland, right. So the bill fell in June 2019. So that means that MPs voted against it. So their own Scottish Parliament voted against 20 miles per hour speed limits. So then the Scottish government decided, well, what are we talking about? The SNP government, because that's what the Scottish government is. They decided that they would just go ahead with it anyway. So they introduced 20. Just think about that for a minute. It fell. So the MP says, we don't want this, we're not wanting this. And immediately after that, so that was 2019, they started implementing them anyway. 20 miles per hour speed zones. So they got councils to implement them. So local councils put the signs up. 20 signs. And at that time, Ian Livingstone was head of police. And he had an interview, which I can't find, which has been hidden, right? I can't remember if it was the Daily Express, but it was an interview with him where he said that we, as in the Police Scotland, wouldn't be prosecuting anyone. And you're going, oh, that's very kind of you. You know, and the reason he said that, he never said this, is because they can't, right? There's no legislation to prosecute. So since then, 2019, 2020, 2021, right through 2025, we're now talking 2025, these 20 zones were implemented. And I remember the first time I seen them down in the Scottish borders in 2020, and there was this van or truck or something going really slow through Falkirk. I thought, what the fuck's wrong with this idiot? This was like, it was something like 5, it was early in the morning, it was in the summer, I was going to hike. What's wrong with this clown? And it was 20 zones. They'd put 20 signs up everywhere. So he was following the 20 signs. So that was on an A road, that was the A7. So like, that was crazy, right? So they've still got them there. And they put them in all these towns and villages all over the place. Okay, I mean, really, I'm trying to explain to you roughly what happened. So over the years, they've gradually been added to Falkirk, Aberdeenshire, all the different places. So they're wanting a blanket coverage of these 20 zones. So I think they've nearly got that. So the situation is, it's not a real speed limit. So it's under a TTRO, a temporary traffic restriction order, then a traffic restriction order. But they have to. I'm not sure the difference between a TT and a TRO. As I understand that, I think it's every 18 months. So if it's got a 20 zone down at Falkirk, for example, right? After 18 months, they'll have to renew it. It's an order. So it's a wrongful use of legislation to implement a speed limit, right? So I don't know. I'm not too clued up in the difference between a TTRO and a TRO. I kind of thought a traffic restriction order, maybe that's the 18 months. Maybe a TTRO is for 12 months or 6 months, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm just guessing, right? But anyway, by definition, they are traffic restriction orders. They're not. So they're kind of unlawful, really, in a way, because that legislation's really for orange marches or gala days, protests, and that, or events of some kind. That's what they're for. That's what it's designed for. It's not designed for speed limits. So I get these arguments. I get people arguing with me all the time. So there's a common theme coming from people, and it's the sign is there. The sign is up there, and it's got a fucking mark around it, and it says 20. So it must be true. It must be the law. And that's what they're saying. That's what these dumb people think. They are dumb. They are useless eaters. The sign is up there, and it's got a black mark around it. So it must be. And they send me all the data. They send me the sign legalities. the sign specifications. What is it? The sign legislation covering signs. Like, a sign must be this size, and it must have this, and it must mean this, that, and other. And they're totally dumb, these people. They believe that because this, so like, if we go and put these signs, I can go and put a sign up somewhere, and that means they're so brainwashed and stupid that they think that like we talk about like conspiracy theorists and everything like that. So I suppose they all think that this falls under conspiracy theory, but it is a conspiracy. These fuckers have put these signs up and they don't have a 20 miles per hour speed. So all these people, they come at me and they always kind of like imagine things. Like they imagine, oh, well, they must have done something since 2019. And I go, oh, aye, what? And quite a lot of them, they just don't want to know. They don't want to listen. They ignore what I'm saying to them. And they come away with this stuff all the time. And usually they sort of fizzle out, they sort of disappear. There was a guy, that Tin Man guy, whatever his name was, he went and deleted all his comments because I totally gubbed him. He didn't stand a chance. He looked like an idiot. And he deleted all his comments because he started off trying to tell me all about the law and everything. But he hadn't. So maybe I did a good thing there. Maybe that Tin Man, I think it was called Tin Man or something. Somebody called him Buckethead. Anyway, I don't video all these encounters, so I don't think people really want to watch them that much. But he did delete all his comments, but he must have thought to himself, surely he must have thought, what's all this about? Because how can you really stand up and be counted and have an argument with somebody, all these comments, and then delete them all because you realise you're looking like an arse, right? This person's made an arse of you. Haven't you got to then stand back and go, Andy, I've got to really think about this. Or if you really believe something, you'd be able to beat me, wouldn't you? You'd got me no problem. You'd get the evidence, but there's no evidence because there's no 20 hours of speed limits. It would be such an easy thing to prove. and they can't do it. None of them can do it. And that's because you cannot prove there's 20 miles per hour speed limits in Scotland, because there isn't any. Anyway, I've come across this real numpty today, and we're going to show you that before I go. This woman is like, I thought I'd better just show you. So this is in Falkirk. Well, with a better note. This is this 3 new apprentices, yeah. Good luck, you know. Delivering Falkirk Council's A9, A904 improvements. So these 3. Harley, Adonai and Toby. Harley, Adonai and Toby. So this is modern Scotland. So there they are. You know, good luck to them, right? There's this guy here. This is Paul Garner. He's the clown that introduced 20 zones in Falkirk. In Earth. I think he started them in Earth. Broke all their own rules, because there's rules about it as well, but let's not get into that. There is rules, their own rules about that, and it's about it's supposed to be self-enforcing, so that they make it that you kind of have to slow down to 20 because of the infrastructure on the road. So this grifter here, Paul Garner from the SNP. This is it. So that's look at him there with it. But you know, I mean, this is modern Scotland for you. 2025. Look at him. What a grifter. Right. So anyway, so as says Paul Garner, one of those pushing fake 20 miles per hour speed limits in Falkirk area, should be arrested for crimes against the people and personally liable for the billions of pounds it's costing the economy. Well, that's another thing. They don't really talk about how much this is costing the economy. The implementation of it and the restriction, slowing everything down, hindering everything. So these roads are made for commerce. They're not made for fanning around. They're not made for him to fanny around on, like virtue signalling, giving young people a job. You know, so there's 3 young people. He's giving them a job in the A9, Balfour Beatty. Right, okay. So Ros Azar, I'm sure they are real pal. Signs up and everything. Oh, the signs are up. So, I mean, you can't really argue with me on this, because I've done all the research. I've got it all. I can go and find it, and I can paste this, because I've already said this to other people. I just go bang, there you go. Signs aren't legislation. Just for your education, it's not possible to prove a negative you're asking me to. There is no legislation that specifically says a 20 miles per hour speed limit is enforceable in Scotland. When you have some proof, bring it back, and we are not talking about signs. This is from the Road Traffic Regulations Act, 1984. It shall not be lawful for a person to drive a motor vehicle on a restricted road at a speed exceeding 30 miles per hour. So that's 1967, and it was amended in 1984. That's the Road Traffic Act. That's what it says. It still says that, and it's said that since 1967. That's what it says. 30 miles per hour. There's nobody can argue with that. You can argue it if you like, but that's what it says. So Ross comes back. Local councillors can legislate their own speed limits on roads which must be signposted. Now you drive 30 and 20 in front of the police and see if your argument still holds water. Jeez, what an absolute moron. You know, I mean, it's like, so the local councils legislate. Well, why have we got Scottish Parliament then? Why have we got Westminster? And why have we got Scottish Parliament? What are these parliaments for? When local councils can do all this legislation, they could just do what they like. So what I says to her, no, local councils are not above the law, neither are police. So that's a point that you need to get this into you. The police are not above the law, right? They're there to enforce the law. They can't make up laws. They can't decide that 20 miles per hour is a speed limit. They know it isn't a speed limit. They know it, right? It's the councils that put these signs up. They're not real speed limits. But because Joe Farrell is the chief constable, she's politically corrupted. And that was the idiot that went away home to got a police personnel, a driver to County Durham. She loves Scotland so much she lives in County Durham, and it's probably because she gets tax breaks by staying in England. So during this horrible storm, when my first brother-in-law died that night up in Montrose, I forget the name of the storm, and that night, Joe Farrell got driven home to County Durham that evening instead of staying in a hotel or staying, it wasn't just her. She got a police personnel, a driver. So the driver drove all the way from Livingstone to County Durham, where she lives, and drove all the way back, right, in a police car, because she didn't want to stay in a hotel. That's a real leader for you, innit, eh? So, Police Scotland, they are corrupted. And so she's in with these clowns. So she's going against the Scottish Parliament, and so's the SNP, the Scottish Government, are going against the Scottish Parliament. They're going against their own Parliament by putting these signs up. Right, so local councils do not legislate. This is why they won't stop you, as that would be an unlawful police stop. I get this sort of thing a lot with some of these ex-forces people they're so subservient that they don't have any brains at all. They kind of, I'm not wanting you to go full conspiracy theory. I'm just wanting you to have a little look at the corruption that goes on with the politicians. And this is an excellent example of corruption with politicians. The fact remains there is no statute I'm aware of that allows for you to be prosecuted for doing 30 miles per hour in a council designated 20 zone. You don't believe me, I don't mind. If you want to drive at 20 miles per hour with 30 cars behind you, that's up to you. Driving with undue care and attention is what you'll be doing. Try explaining that to the judge you keep going on about. So they've got this kind of subservient nature where they're terrified of judges and police and everything. So if it was a law to drive straight off the end of a cliff, they'd probably do it. Oh, we'll have to do it because the sign says so, So that's the sort of absolute dumpling we've got. Look at this fucking page. There's nothing in it anyway. Chair of Indefinite Studies at Unson University of Ankh-Morpork, Terry Pratchett. This isn't life in the fast, it's life in the oncoming traffic. Oh God, what a fucking absolute clown. There's nothing to be seen anyway. One mutual friend. Wow, what's a mutual friend? Wow. Lauren Bremner, alright, okay. Right. So just how can you be so dumb? So she's disappeared now. That's her there, aye, that's her there. Aye. Right, okay. That's her there. Where? There. That's her. Right? So how can you be so dumb? There was another guy today arguing with me. An ex-forces guy. They don't like it if they just don't want to know. I think it's down to right. It's about being controlled. I think. I mean, is that what it is with me? I don't like being controlled. I don't know what it is. We all get controlled. We are controlled. But to me, it's about justice. It's about democracy, and it's about right and wrong. It's wrong what they're doing. That is wrong. What's the point of having a Scottish Parliament when the bill falls and you just go ahead and do it anyway? What else could they do that with? That's what it's about. And then all this thing about the SNP and everything, don't vote for them. I mean, I say you should vote for reform. I don't even know if that's the right idea. But voting for the SNP, no. Don't fucking vote for them. Because they're criminals. And a lot of it, hopefully it might be years before this comes out. But that should all come out about that corruption. And we should get back to having proper 30 signs everywhere. Because that's just insane what they're doing. And the thing is, somebody like me going about saying all these things, it would be easy for somebody to disprove me, but they don't. They just go off and disappear. They can't prove that there's 20 speed limits. They just don't want to know. They're just not interested. You know, they're quite happy to vote for liars, and to vote for that abomination in that Parliament in Edinburgh. It was a complete waste of money as far as I can see. Because how can it be any good if they can go and vote something down and then put all these signs up anyway? You know, but because we're surrounded by such a bunch of creeps that we can't go like and take direct action, because you've got all these like fannies that'll fuck you up, haven't you? It's like, they really are horrible creeps. They really are useless eaters. Useless eaters, what they are. Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Bye.